cause everything around me green. Get the money, dollar bill, yo.
And that's another one too, right? If you don't think that Zybak's going to be sitting
At the bank.
On one machine while he sits and camps the rune gate on another, then you're fooling yourself. I'm on to you, Zybak. We actually will discuss how would Zybak break this system in our design meetings sometimes.
Yeah, what would Zybak do?
Yeah, exactly. And the answer is never good.
Yeah.
So it's good for him, I guess. So,
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Sorry, Logan, we love you.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Artcraft Q&A for March of 2020. Seems like we've been doing these a while.
This
doesn't
is
it?
our 60th episode.
That is a lot. It's a lot. You know, we should get this game out. I'm ready to ship it.
I think we are too.
All right. So, first of all, about the live service, the Endarin campaign is live. It started on February 20th, and it's going to end on March 17th. Now, I will say that is assuming that we don't go live between now and then. If we actually need, if this build is ready to go live, I'm going to just interrupt that campaign.
Yeah.
I don't care. At the end of the day, I will do that. I've already said that, Debbie Sue. You should just be okay with it. Because if this build is ready, if this baby's coming, this baby's coming. So, speaking of that, do we want to jump over real quick to that? Because that's, I'm sure, the first question that everybody's going to be wanting to know is where are we? What's going on with tests? Where's this build?
We are imminently.
Yes.
Imminently.
So let's go ahead and talk about this. So our next version that's coming out is a big one. It's the one we've been working on now for months and months and months. It is the single largest update that we have ever done. It includes almost all of the things that that we want to have for launch. The biggest of those being the strategy game, which is a really big one.
Yep.
The city building, to where now you can actually choose what buildings are in your town, and caravanning is a part of that too. Going to quarries, mines, and mills, caravanning things back. And then lastly, it has the dregs, guild versus guild rule set as well. So this is and things like Frostweaver as well.
And
right?
our final class for launch, right?
So this is a huge one, really, really big milestone, and we have been working on it forever. And literally, so I haven't given a date because I don't know the date. We walk in now, we're in that state where every morning we come in and we look and we see what the bug count is. We have testers that literally we test this game 24/7. We have some external testers internationally who check the game.
Correct.
That we do during the day. They check it at night. And every morning when we come in, we check the bug list, and we are down to a handful of blockers. As soon as we're through with those blockers, this thing's going to go to test. And then we've got more than a handful. We've got probably a dozen or so crits. And once we're through those crits, then it's going to go live.
Right.
So the challenge, of course, is it's a moving list, right? We're trying to hit a moving target. We'll get the blockers done on one day and feel like we're ready. We come in the next morning and there's two more ones, right? Or we'll close out 20 crits, come in the next day and we found 15 more.
They're asking what you mean by crits.
Criticals.
So a blocker is something that, so we've got the highest priority is dev blocker. That means this is a bug that is so bad it's stopping other people from doing their work. So those are kind of like all hands on deck. Send the firefighters over right now to put out the fire. Next is a blocker, which means this is a bad enough problem that we can't put it on test because it would basically make the game experience unplayable and we wouldn't get any good
What would be a good example of a blocker?
Right now, for yesterday, we had a blocker where AI just decided that while it would chase you around the game, it would never attack you.
Right. We clearly can't go live with that.
Monsters would chase you, and they would swarm around you, and then they would just kind of look at you in combat mode. That's a blocker, so we need to get that kind of stuff fixed. We're literally down to, it's been at less than 10 blockers for...
They're saying they're good with that bug. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Well, the problem is it's actually you're not. You would think that you would be, but once you get in, it just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And furthermore, we don't need 500 bug entries of, hey, monsters aren't fighting you. Monsters aren't fighting you.
Right.
So yeah, we figured that one out. So that's been a rolling list of maybe 5 to 10 now for the last 2 weeks.
Right.
But the problem is we stomp some out and new ones pop up, and we're just right on the cusp of getting to that point where it's like, all right, we're through the blockers, we're to the crits.
So that's the next level, is down.
Crits is critical, meaning this is not so bad that it's not worth testing, but it's bad enough that we don't want to put it out onto live because we have new players who come to our site. Tomorrow we'll have a new player check out our website, say this looks pretty cool, I want to check this game out. They're going to get in for the very first time, and if they get in and their game is technically working, but their character is in a T-pose sliding around and not animating, that would be a crit, right? It wouldn't stop us we wouldn't pull tests down because of it, because it's purely cosmetic.
Right.
But it's so bad that we wouldn't want new people, even though they know they're coming in the early period of testing while the game's still being developed, we wouldn't want to put it out. There's always a bit of a gut level, is that a blocker, is that a crit?
Right.
And then after that it's majors and minors and then trivials. And that's just always a judgment call of, we kind of look at those as a bulk of, well, how many are there? And of course, everybody internally, when they're working on bugs, right, one bug that pops up can't just be spread to or handed to any given developer. It's not like I can say, hey, Raymond, you're a designer, here, fix this AI bug. So, right, certain things get backed up behind people,
right.
and we do try to balance load as the best we can. But on this one in particular, there's been so many things that have changed that it led to a giant pile of integration issues and bugs and polish and things like that. Some of the things that have been there forever are finally getting fixed, like the grass that was too tall.
Yes, the grass that was way over your head
finally
forever.
being fixed. That's a good one. And I'm sure there's a few that are in there that are people like, God, I can't believe they still haven't fixed this. And I probably was saying the same thing when I play.
I mean, but when we look at the amount of work, I think we're at like 4,300 tickets that we closed out this milestone.
Sure. And some of those are tickets like put Thralls in game, like big
right.
ticket items that are actually the entire entry points to a GDD, a game design document, that then is a massive write-up of things you have to do, and then has to have a content plan, and it also has, of course, a technical design document. So there's a lot. This is a big, big milestone. The game looks different. It just looks completely different. So, okay, so there you go. Now you guys, I think hopefully that answers the question. Is the
Where are we at?
too long, didn't listen answer is every single day I hope I'd ask the question, is today the day? And at some point here, the answer is going to be yes. I would like it to be today. Is today the day?
I don't think so.
I mean,
maybe.
but that's a maybe. So
Right.
you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance. There's a
Yep.
0.0001 chance.
Okay, so that's it. Day for day. We're working on it. Okay, in rereading the news article, it says bosses. Oh, this is a Thrall question.
Mhm.
Thrall, so this is related to the Thrall post that we made, was that 2 weeks ago? Maybe three? That Brandon did?
Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Great job on that, Brandon. Very cool write-up. It says that the Thrall bosses have a 100% chance to drop the correct major discipline matching the name of the boss. That implies that minions have a lower percentage chance of dropping a major. Is that correct? What will minions drop?
So, the minions are in there for flavor.
Yep.
So, we don't just want to have a single NPC by himself because it just didn't lead to interesting fights.
Okay.
So, generally, he's got a couple dudes with him nearby. They are Thralls as well.
Yep.
And Thralls drop their loot as dubers.
Yep.
The minions drop what's called soul essences, which is part of the crafting components for the disciplines. It's also used in the upgrade mechanic for disciplines to upgrade the rarity of the discipline.
Yeah, so the answer is actually the miners are much more predictable also where they spawn, right?
Miners come from war tribes, so they have nothing to do with
Oh no,
Thralls.
sorry, no, I meant the minions.
Okay, the
Sorry,
minions,
I meant the
okay.
minions. Minor Thralls.
We have
The
so much verbiage.
Yeah, the minion Thralls. So minions are much more predictable and you can find them easier,
Yes.
right? So part of what we were trying to do here was I didn't want, if we're going to have monsters that drop something rare that people really want, I really don't want that to be a grinding experience where I'm just sitting in the same spot camping them until I get the rare drop. That sucks. So instead we flipped it, and instead of the drop being rare, the spawn is rare, and the spawn happens out in the PvP areas, because what we're trying to do is take all these activities and funnel them back out into the PvP worlds so that it becomes more of an activity that is conflict, right? It's player conflict. That's much more interesting. So the answer is no, they don't. They don't. The minions don't drop that stuff because the minions are more predictable. You know where you can go to find them. If you want to actually go and just fight minions, you can. If you're looking for a particular boss, that boss spawns only at night. It will despawn in the morning when the sun rises. The Thralls disappear, and it'll spawn randomly out in the world. So you got to get your ass out there and look for it. And that means that you're actually putting yourself at risk because other players are out there looking for it and looking for you.
Correct.
So that's how that design works.
Because you can't both get the loot.
Yep. So there you go. I think that's that one.
It kind of bleeds into the next question.
The next question actually I just answered, which is, does that mean that the Poison or Thrall will spawn in the same place every time? Is that accurate? No, with the boss Thralls they don't. Correct.
Correct. There are multiple spots they could spawn
across the world.
And
they randomly spawn, randomized time and randomized locations.
Correct. Well, the time being sometime at night.
Yes, the randomized time, but only at night.
You at least have a clue.
Yep.
So Yanni wants to know, since we're talking about these Thrall things.
Okay.
If we kill the mob, will it despawn on daylight like ancients did, or while we're killing it?
You know,
I think at daylight, if you don't have it dead by dawn, if you don't have it dead by daylight, I think it will be
I thought at one point
won't
we had asked for them to say if it was engaged,
let it stick around.
let it stick around
Okay.
until it goes back to its idle, and then explode it.
I don't actually know. I was under the
Yeah.
impression that that they did despawn, but I haven't been in that exact situation since we got the Thralls in. The Thralls look really cool too. by
Oh,
the
they
way.
look badass.
They actually look really cool. So hooray! There's another Kickstarter thing that we talked about that finally came online.
Yeah, it's more like the slow vampire death where you see the sunlight gradually coming up.
Yeah, I don't want them to blink.
Right, so it's more that I wanted to say that if you had engaged it, then you would have time to kill it.
Okay.
And if it didn't, I remember asking for that at one point.
Okay.
We make a lot of requests. I'm
Yeah,
not
we
sure
do.
that
We'll have to see if that one
Right.
made the list or not.
That wouldn't be considered a critical,
Okay.
right? That's more of actually a major, which is the level below critical.
Okay.
All right.
Next one is a question about racial passives.
Okay.
So shifting gears to that. So this is a question about the high elf racial passive, mental fortitude.
Yes.
So since passives don't need slots anymore, is that going to stack with weapon finesse?
So even though they don't need slots anymore, we have a hierarchy system that we can build into these things.
Okay.
So if we decide that passive B is more powerful than passive A, we can just override A with B, and you won't even see that you have A anymore.
Okay.
So in some cases we did that. The specifically mental fortitude is one that makes your attacks more efficient. There's a more powerful version on the Blade Master discipline called Weapon Finesse that does in fact overwrite the effects.
Okay, so it doesn't stack, it does override though.
It does override.
So it's still a choice, but it's not as good a choice
Correct.
for them necessarily because they're already kind of halfway there. But if that's what you're trying to min-max to get to, then you still might want it.
Yes. So I mean,
I
great
approve
choice.
of this design.
Yeah, that's
I'm okay with that.
good.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to change
Good.
anything.
Yeah,
Good.
exactly.
All right, moving on.
All right, so we've got a whole bunch of Frostweaver questions.
Well, in fact, we have the Frostweaver lightning round.
Lightning is not their element. Are you sure we want to do that?
Well, I couldn't find a picture of a cold round. And
The
everyone
blizzard round. Oh, we can't use that.
Okay,
Sorry, we're not allowed
sorry.
to use that term. So, snow flurry round. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Anyway,
Go
you
for
want
it.
me to ask you?
Yeah, ask
Okay.
questions and I'll
All
do
right.
the lightning round
Do
answers.
they have a healer promotion class?
Yes.
Will there be a promotion that wears plate?
Yes.
Are they a pet-based class?
No.
Do they have pets at all?
No.
Will they be able to influence battle through the creation of tangible objects such as ice walls, shields, and domes?
Yes.
Will they have ranged and melee DPS promotion classes?
No.
And do you have additional race options for them?
We have not.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
That is a no.
All right.
So,
And so did you bring some toys? Did you bring some for the whole class?
yeah, I did bring some stuff for the whole class, and we got some fun stuff to show you. We've got a screenshot, and I believe they will put it up now. Okay, so here we're looking at the talent tree
That's
for.
not just a screenshot.
for the
That's
Frostweaver.
animating, my friend.
Are we actually in game there?
I don't know. It's a video. It's
A video.
All right.
All right. If they want to show a video, that's great.
See, one thing that's kind of neat. I don't know if they've seen the new UI for the talent.
That was
trees.
kind of my secret also for showing this.
Is it okay? Yeah.
Because I didn't want to call it a UI talent tree update. I want to say, hey, let's look at the Frostweaver, and hey, you might also notice
That the interface. We've done a lot of this in this milestone.
Yeah, and
it looks like a different game.
it really does. It looks great too.
So shout out to Drew and Blotty.
and Blotty for working on
Awesome.
the.
Very, very cool.
great.
And Susie, I think, worked on it some, didn't
I think she's done some of the hookup.
Whatever. Just kidding. Frowning. She did great.
Okay,
She
so
did
we
great.
are here looking at the promotion class for the Frostweaver. This is the. I don't remember the screenshot.
Frostguard.
Yeah, this is the Frostguard, but this is the middle line, right? This is the DPS. Or I'm sorry, this is the tank spec, right?
Ranged defense.
I can't read that from here.
Ranged defense.
Thank you. It's a ranged defense. The screenshots I took actually had it zoomed in on where it was and highlighted so I could tell.
Do you have the screenshot as well, Susie?
That's the only
No.
screens I got.
All right.
I didn't get any other.
Well, they've read it. Let's move on to the next one. I sent you 3.
These are the 3.
Okay, so this one is
in
the
front of the children, mom and dad.
this is the Archmage. This is the DPS line, which is the very top line, as is standard with most of our talent trees. And I'm not going to give away the mechanics. I'm just going to show them the pictures of it.
They're going to see it soon.
And they can
anyway.
freeze it and read it and figure out all the things. We also started adding, if you look at the top there's now a role section and a little brief verbiage to kind of give a little bit of flavor to it of what we thought the class was. Because there was a lot of confusion when the players went in, they're like, what is this? So it was at least to give them an idea of what we thought that this promotion class was
Yeah, in
gonna
general, you guys probably never noticed this. There was a whole bunch of systems in our game where it's like, here's a system, it technically works, figure it out. We don't tell you how. We've actually tried to start fixing that.
Right.
Go back through all of our UIs and our systems and say, okay, how do we explain this to somebody who doesn't, hang out all the times on our forums or
Correct.
Hang out on Malachi?
There's a surprising amount of text that we added in this update just to explain all kinds of stuff.
For sure.
Right? And again, we didn't have to do it before it because we weren't there.
Yeah, but we are, and we're still not done with it, but we're definitely,
Right.
you can tell now, and you can tell where we've done it and where we haven't. We are absolutely addressing it.
And generally that stuff, as we are experiencing, comes online towards the end of the project because you've settled on what you're going to build.
Yep.
There's no point in doing it earlier on because you're not even sure that you're going to stick with a lot
Yeah,
of
and
things.
actually that is almost worse. I'd rather not have any information than have it tell me, here's exactly how this works, and it's wrong, because we changed it, but nobody went back and updated
Right.
the text. So,
All right.
yep.
And then the next one, their final one, is a healing promotion. So this is one of our classes now that will have 3 options. Everyone seems to be enjoying it in the early playtests.
Val, it's your new favorite, right?
Oh,
Frostweaver?
I love it. I love it.
Is it just because of the Frostcasters, the weapons?
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It feels fun to play. She feels very powerful. But I haven't figured out exactly what that right click is doing, and I died a horrible death yesterday because all of a sudden I was in the middle of a big group of very angry satyr.
I thought it would be the Underhill tribe, which is causing most people problems right now.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of knights and they love to chain pull. So Halish has already fixed that. The minion version doesn't chain pull. Okay. The duelists, the Ganetians. Anyways, that war tribe is a lot of fun. Where are we going from there?
I think that's it.
All right,
I
that's
think
it for Frostweaver.
the end of Frostweaver.
And we have
So-
more questions.
Okay, and then we have a couple more questions.
Oh, I guess, what's the state of Frostweaver?
The final effects are being hooked up right now. Pass 1 has been done.
Yep.
They are fine-tuning the hit and the weapon flashes, as we call them.
Yep.
A weapon flash is typically when you do any type of power, we just flash something on the weapon. In the case of the Frostweaver, it's happening at the end of the fist because that's where the Frostcasters end at. And then we've got hit effects that are being polished, and then just final tuning where the effects artists go through and they look at it and they're like, I don't quite like what's telling me. Let me rework this part a little bit, as well as sound is going in. So those are usually the final 2 pieces of any class. So Halish has made all of his good guesses. We've play tested it. We've got our good guesses. Then we'll release it into the hands of the players, and they will completely break it
Yeah, for sure.
because that's what happens, and figure out where our numbers were off by whatever, and then
Yeah.
we'll fix it based off of that.
Cool.
Or like this ability doesn't work quite well, that one, whatever. But we've all done this before. It's been a while since we've released a new class.
Yep,
So this will
it has.
this will definitely put it back into put everyone back in the mix as to what is the best. With all of the other changes, who knows?
Yeah, actually, so I'm going to call out one of those changes that's not going to get a lot of marketing attention, but I'm going to call it out because specifically I'd like you guys to test it, is we did a lot of work on the underlying power system over the course of the last 6 months. A ton. In fact, we basically went back and did a whole bunch of code cleanup. That means really we should test every single power because every single power was touched.
Correct.
And in our game, that's what, 1,300, 15? That's a lot,
Yes.
right? It's a lot of powers. So when we get to test, one thing that would be great for you guys to do is pick a class, pick a couple disciplines, and make a run through. One that you're very familiar with, so
Yeah.
you can actually go through and play, and you can help tell us, hey, this power is no longer working like it was. Was that by design? Or this power is not working at all, clearly not by design. Or it seems like this group of powers are all not working for the same systemic reason. So the good thing is, as a result of this cleanup, it feels a lot punchier, right? It feels
does.
snappier. And of course, this also ties into the survival tree changes as well. So it should look a little better. It should feel a lot better. It should perform better on the back end. We still need to do optimization on the front end. That's one of the last things we'll get to. But overall, it should be a lot cooler. But we're definitely going to need y'all's help when it goes to test to get full coverage, because there's so many powers that have been touched that it's hard, even with our team being as big as it is now, which is sizable, right? We're about 60 people now, and we've got that external QA team. It's still just so much ground to cover. We could really use your help.
And some of it's like small little things. For example, yesterday I was playing a half elf who has Trailblazer. So every time I leave combat or whatever, I get the movement speed buff. I got off, I mounted up, I bought my mount in the playtest, I dismounted, and I noticed my Trailblazer buff wasn't coming back. And I was like, why is that? And I went and looked, and there was a proc event type that wasn't firing.
Okay.
So, and that probably fixed 20 bugs.
Yeah, for sure.
I called it out to the engineers, they went and fixed it. But if a proc type isn't working, it can be something as small as that. If I had gone into combat after getting off of my mount, it would have come back.
Yeah.
But just dismounting should have also brought it back, but it didn't. So it's little things like that where you're like, it's just something's missing right here.
Yeah.
And identify that for us, and it'll be a great help in getting through all of the powers.
Yeah, I had a conversation with one of our investors where they asked, like, so you guys have been spending the last 5 years building powers, right? We have a very, very robust power tool set at this point, right? We have basically every power type known to MMOs, right? Every mechanic, every different type of energy mechanic, every stamina and pips and rage, like everything you can think of, all the different types. We've got them all now. And they said, so now that you finally have all that, why would you go back and touch the underpinnings of the power system? And I said, well, the reason is because we built this thing like building a building one story at a time, and every time you would be, all right, well, what did we build last time? Let's just tack another building on, another layer on, and tack another. So what you ended up with was technically the building is up, but you didn't build it as one cohesive unit. You kind of layered it on over time. So it meant that we basically were struggling with some bugs that were down here in the belly of the plumbing on the 3rd floor, and it's causing issues up here. So it just made everything harder. So moving from testing it where we're trying to figure out the game and what we want to, okay, now we're preparing to launch this game and it needs to work at scale. It made sense to say, let's go back now that we know exactly what that vision is, and let's just check the architecture ground to top. So let's do a full pass over the whole thing and make a much more solid base. That also included, which you guys don't really care about, but is great for us, much better visualization tools, much better process flow. Like everything just got much, much cleaner. It was a significant effort. Actually, realistically, that could have been a milestone unto itself. But it wasn't, of course. We did it at the same time we did everything else.
Our tool having copy and paste is just...
just and the trees, being able to move things around in the tree structures and stuff like that. It's way more robust than it was before.
People want to know about the increase in training speed. Like right now, or up to this point, we've had ×3, ×10, whatever for the passive skill training. So they want to know, is it going to continue to be at an accelerated rate when test is available, or are we going to, this is how it's going to be when the game launches?
Right now, the configs are all set to the standard 1x what it's going to be when it go to live.
And we definitely get a wipe. I mean, that's the thing. When this thing goes live, we're definitely, so not only do we want to wipe, because it creates a great new opportunity for people that we haven't seen in a while to come back in and not feel like they're behind the curve. We also have to. So many things have changed in this one that it actually is just going to be necessary. So it's nice when those two things line up. That what we want to do and what we have to do are actually the same. That's a nice benefit. So that's definitely coming in this one.
And we've never actually tested it at the speed we wanted to. We always let's shortcut it because we know we're going to wipe again soon and we want to then we got through. This time I actually want to see what it feels like. Like, are you making substantial gains in your passive training at the same time as you're making talent gains? Like, did you make it all the way to the end of your talent tree and you're still on the first box in the skill tree? Things like that would be useful for us to know now,
for sure,
before we go to live and into beta and beyond. So definitely we're gonna go back and we're gonna see what it feels like to be at 1x, and then we'll make adjustments based off of that.
Okay, the next question. Right now, there's not a real winner at the end of the PV battles in the terms of spoils of war. because we don't have a reward system.
Nope.
That is absolutely true. Reward system is one of those remaining things that we haven't gotten to yet. I will say that I'm really, really happy with the design for it because we're going to get to leverage a lot of the tech that we just came up with for the strategy game. That, what I just said, will make no sense to you guys until you see it.
Right.
But you're going to see it pretty soon here because it's about to go to test. So let's come back to this question and talk more about the reward system design after they've seen that, because then I can explain it in terms of a system they will have already played and know.
Okay.
But yes, we do have a full, very, very robust design for how we give rewards, how we track rewards, what gives you rewards, how you can redeem those rewards, all of that kind of stuff. So we'll make that the subject of a future Q&A.
All right.
Yeah, so now that we have the functionality, we've started to surface that in various systems like Thralls and chests and things like that. There's more that I want to use it for. I still would really like to have all of the abandoned villages that we generate out in the world. I want to go through those and put like chests of drawers and things like that in there where you can find things. So now if I go through one of those villages, I have a reason to want to go in and scavenge in each of the houses.
Absolutely.
Again, which creates a fantastic opportunity for conflict with other players.
And we
they'll-
could, like-
they'll wait for you and they'll, try and waylay you on the side of the road when you're doing that.
Right. There's even things like, hey, I want to spawn a unique vendor that rarely ever spawns.
That would be cool.
Right,
Yeah.
he just listens for some specific adjective to get placed on the world. He spawns for an hour and then is gone.
Yeah, we do have weather events in now too, actually. That's another one,
Yes.
right? And that's another randomized event. I don't think we have a tie yet where a weather event, like, hey, it's raining, add a tag of raining. Do we have
No,
that yet?
we don't have that
Okay,
yet.
but now that we have those systems,
Correct.
that's a relatively minor ask, but we
Right.
could do that. It could be, hey, this particular vendor only spawns when it's sunshine, outside, as opposed to when it's raining. So
I mean, it's a great example for people who are about to get into cities. Is that's how the guard spawners work?
yeah.
Right. When you build this building, it puts a tag on the parcel, and all of a sudden, these spawners for cleric guards turn on, for
Right.
example.
And
right?
that is now in city building a choice you have to make. You cannot have all the things.
Yes,
So you
there's
have to
all
make
kinds of
choices.
guards, and you get to pick
Let's
which ones.
clarify that when you said that things will suicide, it doesn't mean that they will literally explode and kill anybody in the vicinity.
Oh no, the chest doesn't do
They
that.
don't, but the
now that you
caravan
mention
pigs
it.
do blow up. They don't yet hurt other people, but I definitely want to actually make them explode and leave like little chunks of meat
Yes.
and ribs. So, because I think that's hilarious. The
I
caravan
agree.
pigs are on an exploding timer. And that was done basically so that we don't have trolls taking caravan pigs, dragging them off somewhere, leaving them,
Right.
and as a result, all the pigs are chewed up, right? I wanted to put there's some pep to the step of the pig. You actually got to get it to the place it's got to go quickly. Otherwise, that just added another element.
Right. We don't want you
To the caravan
lollygagging.
gang.
What bonuses besides playing together as a team or union do players gain by joining a guild? For example, machines for crafting in guild territories, guild buffs, etc.
Okay, so it's not really for joining a guild, but it's kind of indirectly for joining a guild, right? By joining a guild, you're going to have a much easier time participating in the siege game. Now, we do in Dregs have some kind of default guilds that people can dump into, right? That way, because otherwise you'd have no way to recruit new people in if they couldn't
Correct.
come in without having a guild already. So we have some defaults, but realistically speaking, I think that the default guilds are not going to be as competitive as the hardcore guilds who are really, really well organized. Now, I have heard an opinion that says, no, the default guilds will make up for it in numbers and they'll be more competitive than you think. We'll see. I don't think so.
Show me.
But anyway, because you now have guilds going into the game, you now have territory and strongholds that can be claimed by those guilds and a host of buildings that can be built in those strongholds. And those buildings all offer you different things. To build those buildings, you actually have to caravan stuff back. So you have to bring stuff back and choose what building you want to have. And then that gives you a ton of benefits. And that's anything from vendors to crafting to guards to hanging effects that basically magical effects that help everybody in the zone. There's the sentinels in there now that you can use that are sort of like the Shadowbane Spires. There is so much coming in this area. So anyway, you guys will see that soon.
Those buffs are even persistent.
Yeah, for sure.
so
And for buffs now persist. That's something we didn't have in previous milestones either.
Nope.
If I put a beneficial buff on you and you hit a rune gate, it went away.
Correct, or you
That's
logged out.
Or I poisoned you and you run through a rune gate, it would go away. Or you could log out to clear it.
Yep.
That's also fixed in this one.
So, and
oh
even-
god, there's so much stuff coming. It's insane.
We even added the buffs from the buildings. They will persist through death.
Wow.
So we so you don't have to bounce back to the city every single
That's
time
cool.
you die.
That's cool.
For that 2 hours that you have that buff, you get to keep it for the entirety
Yeah.
of the time.
Good.
Balfan asks if resource ranks have been corrected in 5.11.
Yeah, we did. So resource, yes, a couple things are different
Okay,
on
okay.
resources. First of all, monsters have been moved to a level system instead of a rank system.
Correct.
They've been separated out on a parcel so that we don't have to say, well, if you want rank 7 monsters, which are now level 21, then you also have to have rank 7 harvestables, which we didn't actually want to put into God's Reach.
Right.
So we've separated those things out now so that we do have it separate. So the best resources really now are only found in Dregs and the other PvP worlds, but higher level monsters can be found in God's Reach to allow players to level up their characters to get to that point of minimum viable power to be able to go and participate.
You will see
in
the level
Dregs.
30 NPCs in God's Reach, and I think the resource camps out at rank 4.
Yeah, I think last I heard it was close to that. Was like 25th level in God's Reach, but you could then go to Infected to get the last 5 levels of monsters.
I'd have to look at the chart.
So it was actually, there was a slight bridge to try and entice people into Infected, so that people who are already ready to go to Dregs at 25th, they're just going to jump there and they'll do their final leveling in Dregs. People who don't really quite know what they're getting into can get their feet wet in PvP by jumping to Infected, get those last couple levels, and then graduate. I
Infected
think
also,
that's where we left it.
They also have like
I'd have
rank,
to check.
rank 5 and 6, I think, in Infected as well.
Yeah. So Infected was kind of made as an in-between point. The resource is not as good, but it's also not as dangerous.
Okay, they are spamming the Twitch channel asking about alliances, guild alliances in 5.11 for Dregs.
So, okay, so right now you're going to have to do that stuff largely by hand. We do have a plan in it, but it didn't make it into the cut. I didn't really want to talk about it very much because picking at the 1 or 2 things you didn't get and ignoring the 500 things that you did doesn't make for a great conversation. So, but now we're starting to get a little bit more open about what's coming in this build because you guys are about to play it. So there are ways that you can work around this using like a overall guild structure and things like that. I'll get to it. We just didn't get it in this one. And frankly, I wanted to play this version first because that will impact the alliances and fealty GDD. So I actually spent another pass last night. I actually made another pass through that GDD. So it has not fallen off of our list and it's not out of our mind. It's just something that didn't quite make the cut. When I was looking through the list, I actually looked for things that I thought, I've got to cut 5 things of the 500. What are the things that I think are likely to be wasted effort because I will learn in doing this milestone things that will influence that?
Yep.
I mean, we have a whole strategy game coming online. So big questions like if one guild joins another guild and they both had individual strongholds generating points, what do I do with those points?
Yes.
Do the points go to the new one? Do they stay with the old one? If they do go to the new one, what if I later want to betray? Does that mean I have to remember the old one? Does the new one collect points on their own that roll up to the old one? There's a whole bunch of stuff that's just weird. And I didn't find one design that I was like, I am so certain that this is the right one, that we should go with it. Now that we're in and we're starting to play it, I've got a much better idea for that. Let's play it some. I do still want to get it in. It's something that we're planning on doing. I think it's something that's important as a balancing mechanic to deal with large guilds. But I have other balancing mechanics as well for that, right? A number of the strategy cards that are coming, another strategy game rules are actually geared up for smaller guilds. So let's get in, hang with me, let's play it, and then we'll come back and reapproach.
Okay, also, I've seen several people in the chat ask about global banking and if it's gone in this next iteration. It absolutely is.
It is gone. There are solutions, though, in-game that you can take to give you more banking options, but you have to build them. It is now one of the hard choices that you have to make for the strategy game.
Yeah, I was actually really happy with that power, too. It's called mobile banking.
Yeah.
It summons a Stoneborn banking chest, and if you build the correct building to get that power,
and rank it to max.
And rank it up, then you have that option.
Right,
So
but you're giving up something else equally cool to do it. So,
but the standard B button to open your vault no longer exists.
Right.
In the new fancy UI options on the side of the screen, it's no longer there.
And we've been making a pass through all of the outposts, which previously were just like, here's a campfire. claim it, right? We've been making a pass and going through and changing those POIs to give them purpose.
Yep.
Guard towers now have a purpose. Banking outposts
Yep.
now have a purpose.
There's a banking outpost.
God statue outposts now have a purpose. So there's a number of things that are out there in the world that you find that it's not just a thing that I claim for points. It's a thing that I claim because it has this other game reason for me to claim it. So.
And a lot of reasons, your reason is to sit there and wait for people to come.
And that's another one too, right? If you don't think that Zybak's going to be sitting
At the bank.
On one machine while he sits and camps the rune gate on another, then you're fooling yourself. I'm on to you, Zybak. We actually will discuss how would Zybak break this system in our design meetings
Yeah,
sometimes.
what would Zybak do?
Yeah, exactly. And the answer is never good.
Yeah.
So it's good for him, I guess. So,
Yeah.
okay. Anyway.
Sorry, Logan, we love you.
All right. What else we got? Anything else?
Yeah, so here's the last one. Recluse said, can we get dynamically moving bosses so they are not always in the same place? Now that we can
That's what we have.
That's what we talked about
we
the
talked
spawners.
about earlier in the live screen. Yes,
Right.
we
Okay.
absolutely have that.
There is value every now and then in putting a fixed location in. We've clearly done that in other games in the past, and there's also value in having a completely random world. And we will use it where we see
Yeah, for sure.
where it works the best.